Hey everyone, and welcome back to the series of Python. In the last session, we saw the introduction to strings. In this session, we are going to take a detailed look at strings data type. We are going to see about some operations that we can perform with strings. So let's get started. We have studied about numeric data type and integer data type. We have studied about numeric data type, right? Which further contains integer, complex, and float data types. We are currently studying about strings data type that comes under sequence data type. We have already seen this thing that what is the string and some fundamental things about string, right? This is just a revision for it. A string is a sequence of characters or a collection of characters. So for example, we can say HELLO within double quotes or single quotes, or WELL within double quotes or single quotes as strings, because these both are collection of characters or sequence of characters. Now we are going to see some operations on strings today. This is just a list for it. Uh, if you want to skip ahead to a separate operation, you can do that. But I will recommend watching the whole video first, and then if you after watching the full video, if you want to understand or watch again for a separate operation, you can just use the timestamps in the description or the chapters uh, in YouTube. So the first one is calculating the length of a string. So let's see about it. Let's see, calculating the length. For calculating the length of a string, we use a function called len. So let's see this in action in ideally. So let's say we have a string in a variable called a, HELLO. Now let's say we want to calculate the length of this string. So we can use a function called len, and inside that we can pass the variable. This function will return the length of a string. So to print it out, we can use a print function, or even without the print function it will work in interactive mode, but let's just use it. So we got 5. Now what is this 5? This 5 is nothing but the length of this string. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we have 5 characters in this string, and that's why we got 5, because this function returns the length of a string or the number of characters in a string. So this is the format of the function to use, len, and within brackets the string that we want to check. It's not necessary to use a string in variable. We can just uh, pass a string without variable also. Let me just show you. Let's say, well, this time. So it says 4 because the number of characters in this string is 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's why we got 4. And see, here's uh, in this situation we have not used any kind of variable. We have directly passed the string in this function. That works as well. So this means we can pass the variable, or we can also pass the string directly without variable, because the variable is nothing but it's also representing the string itself. So in place of a, internally this string is actually represented or written. Next operation is string concatenation. Now what is this? Let's see. Joining the two strings together is called as string concatenation. We can use plus operator for string concatenation. So if you remember about the plus operator, we used to do something like mathematical operations using the plus operator, right? Well, we can also use the plus operator on strings. for string concatenation. And basically, what is a string concatenation? Let's just explain a little bit. String concatenation means joining of two strings together. So let's say we have a string called hello and we have another string called world. If we use the plus operator, it will return this expression will return this value, that is hello world together without any space, right? So this is called string concatenation. We have just joined hello and world from end to end using the plus operator. Let's see this in action in ideally. So let's go ahead and try that. Try the same example actually. Let's say hello plus, let's say world. We got hello world as we expected. So this is string concatenation. Next thing is string indexing. Now let's understand what this is. Each character in a string has its own position, also known as index. So we have, let's say, this string, for example, in which the characters stored are capital W, small e, small l, and then small l. So this is a string holding four characters, right? And in this string, each character has its own position, which is also known as index. So basically, each character in this string has its own position value or index value, we can say. So for the first character, that is W in this case, we have 0. In the next one we have 1. In the next character we have 2, and then so on as the characters move on. So it basically starts with 0 and goes till the number of characters minus 1. So let's say we want to access these characters individually. Then how do we do that? We can access them using the following format. So the format is right here: string, square brackets, and then index. Let's see. Let's actually create the same string that was written in this example. Well, the string is well capital W E L L. So we have stored the string in the variable b. Now let's try to do indexing on it. Let's print b and square brackets. We are using the same format: string, square brackets, and then index value. So string, square brackets, and let's pass the index value as 0. And now we know that at 0 we have W, right? So we should get W. Let's see what happens. Yes, we got W. We can also do this without print function. Now, in the same way, we can access 1, 2, 3, and so on. Let's say now let's say we want to access the last element of the string. So how do we do that? Well, in this case, we know the last element is 3. But let's say we have a string in which we don't know how many characters are there. So how do we do that in this case? In this case, we can use negative indexing of strings. So in this situation, you can see that the first character has 0, then 1, then 2, and then 3. There's one more way in which indexing is done, and it's the negative. It's from the negative side. So let's start from the last character. This one can also be represented with an index of -1, then -2, then -3, and then -4. So in place of 0, we can also use -4 to represent that string. Let's test it out. Let's say -4, and see, we again got W. It's because the indexing can be done either positive side or in the negative side. Both are correct. But why are we doing this? Well, if you remember we wanted to get the last character of the string, right? So we can just simply use -1, because obviously it doesn't matter how much characters the string is, the last character is always going to have an index of -1. So let's try this now. Let's say print b -1, and see, we got L as the last character because we have last character as L in this string. We can also do one more thing for getting the last character. Let me just show you. B, and we know that len function can be used to calculate the length, right? And obviously the last character will be at the index of the length of the string minus 1. So we can say len b minus 1. And don't worry if this seems confusing right now, but this just uh, this expression will evaluate to the last index of the string. Let's understand it one by one. Let's say len b first, and this expression len b will return the number of characters, that is 4 in this case, and 4 minus 1 will be 3. So this whole thing will be overwritten by 3. So we will get the last character again. I just changed this thing to 3. We don't need to do that. We can just say like this. I just did to explain you. Let's say b len b minus 1, and see, this works as well. This is string indexing. Let's move on now. The next thing is string slicing. Let's understand what this is. Slicing means taking a part out of anything. So let's say this is a pizza, okay? Sorry for my bad drawing of the pizza. And we took out a slice of the pizza. This can be called as a slice of pizza because a uh, it's a part out of the pizza, right? So in the same way, we can perform the same thing in strings. So string slicing means taking a part out of a string. So let's say we have a string called HELLO, hello. So let's say we took out EL out of this hello. So this EL will be called as a string slice, and the process will be called as string slicing. Okay, so format of doing string slicing is this: string, square brackets, and then start, stop, step separated by colons. Now, let me explain you in ideally what this actually means. Let's create another string and store it in a variable called C. Let's say the same example, hello. Now let's do string slicing in this case. We can use print function to display, but let's just not use it. Let's say C square bracket, and then first of all we have to pass start value, then stop value, then step value. So what is start value? Start value means, let's say first of all we want to take EL out of this string. Okay, so the start value will be E. We can't just write E over here. Even with quotes, we have to write the index of that value. We have to write the index of the starting uh, slice that we want. So let's say we want to take out EL. So in this case, we will write the index of E as the start value. So this is obviously 1 because the index of H is 0 and E is 1. Next, we want the stop value. Stop value means the point at which we want to stop slicing. So we want to stop at L, right? So we can just say 2. So we can just say 2 like that, but this will not work. Actually, the stop value is not included. This will only give the value till E because the uh, stop value is exclusive. So we have to say 3. Now for the step. Now step means how much we want to skip, and it's optional. So let's just leave it for now and let's see what happens. See, we got EL as expected. Now let me just make a big string to explain you much properly. Let's say hello space world, and space is also a character, keep in mind. Now this time let me just show you slicing with step value. So for the start value, let's say we want to print out you from O to R. Okay. So the index of O is what? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we will say 4 as the start value, and then where do I want to stop? We want to stop at R. So the index of R is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, but 8 is not included. So we have to increase 1 to it. Let's say 9, because the stop value is exclusive. Now for the step value, let's say step value to be 2 this time. By default it is 1. Okay, let's say it to be 2, and let's see what happens. Okay, so we got OWR. OWR. If you notice properly, we have skipped one character in between. We have got O, but we didn't get any space. We directly skipped to W. Nextly, we didn't go get O and then directly skipped to R. So we got O, W, and R. And the this is the effect of step value. We passed the step value as 2. So Python uh, skipped one value at a time. So if the step value was 1, Python would not skip any value. That's how it works. Step value means how much step uh, would we take during slicing or during counting the strings. So for example, let me just show you the same thing with step value 1. This time we got OWOR because the step value was 1 and Python was stepping one one character at a time. In this situation, Python was stepping 2 characters at a time, so it skipped one character in between. And we can also leave the start value empty, let's say. So what do you think? What will happen in this case? By default, the start value is 0, so it will start from the beginning of the string. See, uh, we got from the starting. Obviously, we expected that because it's 0 by default. Similarly, let's say 4, but let's skip the stop part this time, and by default the stop is the last position of the string, and we are skipping it with step value of 2. So see, we got till the end obviously, but we started from O, which is at the index of 4. We got till the end because stop value was not passed and it was by default what, the last position. And again we skipped one character. If you notice properly, it's because we passed the string as 2, sorry, step as 2. That's how slicing works. You will understand more by doing practice. Now fifth operation is upper is lower methods. Now first of all, what is a method? A method is a special type of function which is attached to a data type. Let's say you will understand about methods deeply in some later sessions. For now, just understand this is a function. So first of all, we want to understand about isupper method. Isupper method is used to check if all the characters in a string are of uppercase. So let's make a string in a variable called a. Let's say HELLO. Now, the format of doing that is kind of different from using the len function or print function. that we used earlier. Method is sort of different. The format is a dot is lower, and then it returns false. Now let's understand this slowly. Now a dot is lower means that we are running a method called is lower on a. So a method is a function that is attached to a specific data type, and islower is a method that is attached to string data type. So that's why we are able to use it on the variable called a, because a is storing a string data type. And as we know, islower method is used to check if the string is uh, a lowercase or not. Sorry, I ran is lower actually. Is lower method is used to check if all the characters in a string are of lowercase. So in this case, h is uppercase, so that's why it said false. Okay, false means basically for now just understand it's wrong. It's not lower. Let's try is upper. This is also false because h is upper but ELLO are lower still. So both of these are false. Now in place of variable we can also again just use the string directly. Let's say HELLO with all capitals dot is upper, and this is true because HELLO all of the characters are capital. In this case we have directly passed the variable the string itself in place of variable. We can do that because the variable is just representing the string itself in this case also. It doesn't matter we use variable, or we can also directly write hello in place of variable dot is lower. It will work too, and that's the thing we have done over here. Okay, so is lower and is upper methods should be clear, I hope. Next is upper, lower, and title methods. Now, upper method is used to change the case of the whole string to uppercase. Let's say we have a variable, we have a string. Let's just not use variables now to save time. Let's say this is the string, okay? And in this string, various characters are capitals, but some of them are small, like HEL from the starting. So let's say we want to convert every character to capital, then we can use dot upper method. So see, it converted the whole thing in capitals. Similarly, we can do the same thing with lower. Let's say we want to convert this in lowercase, then we can use lower. It will convert this in lowercase. So the upper method is used to change the string to uppercase, and the lower method is used to change the string to lowercase. Now what does title method do? Title method is used to convert the string into title case. Now you might ask, what is a title case? In a title case, each word uh, in a title case string, each word in a sentence is of the starting characters of each word in a sentence are of uppercase. So let's say dot title. See, we got uh, the starting characters of each word in the string as uppercase. This is basically title case. Next is find method. Find method is used to find out the index of a given substring in a string, and this is the format of using it. Let me just show you an ideally. So let's create a variable. Let's say a is equal to hello world. Now let's say we want to find out the index of world in this string. So how do we do that? We can use a dot find. This will return the index value of a substring. Let's say world. We have understood that each character has an index, but what is the index of this whole substring? Well, this will also the index of this whole substring will be the same as the index of the starting character of this substring, that is w. So what we should get over here, let's see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. We should be getting 6 or 7. Let's see. Yes, we should be getting 6 because the indexing begins from 0. So basically find method is used to find out the index of a given substring in a string. It's basically somewhat opposite to uh, slicing and indexing thing that we have learned. Next is isdigit method. So isdigit method is used, sorry, this is not ID, this should be S. Isdigit method is used to check if all the characters of a string are digits. Let me just show you. Let's say A is equal to hello 123, and let's say A dot is digit. This is false because all the characters in this string are not digits. Now let's create another string B is equal to 456. Now in this variable we have created a string that has all the characters as digits. So this should be true. Let's check. B dot is digit. True. So this is correct. And by correct I mean 456 has 456 as a string has all the characters as digits. So uh, you will understand more about strings along the way in this course. This was a detailed session about strings, but still there are various things that you will find out on your own or in this session as you will move on. So this is it for this session on strings. Sorry, this was a big session. Uh, it's because I talked about so many details about strings in this session. So hopefully you got something out of this session, and if you feel any confusion or any doubt, please feel free to ask in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.